What's good, YouTube? This your boy Jay Rich, and I'm back in this bed. You feel me? And hey, we got another one. It's another one for it's a crazy one. It's a cave video, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Most terrifying ways to get, you know what I'm saying, caught in the cave. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We finna watch it. Let's see what's going on.
Two horrifying caving stories that went horribly wrong. In the first one, a cave explorer in California suddenly plummets through what he thought was solid ground, finding himself suspended by his neck as the cave floor collapses beneath him.
Oh man.
While in the second story, six spelunkers in Virginia unknowingly enter deadly bad air, their lungs failing as they desperately fight their way back to safety. As always, viewer discretion is advised. During the summer of 1990, a group of cave explorers spent hours surveying a cave system in California's Sierra Nevada mountains. The cave system on the western slopes of the Sierra Nevada mountains was a complex network of passages, chambers, and underground streams. The group had spent a long session underground, working their way through various sections of the cave system with their surveying equipment. By the time they decided to head for the entrance, they were physically exhausted from hours of crawling, climbing, and working in the confined underground environment.
I bet.
The exit route took them to a point where an underground stream descended to a lower level of the cave system. Rather than following the water down, the group proceeded along a narrow canyon passage that ran parallel to the stream's descent. This passage was typical of many cave corridors: narrow walls on either side, with what appeared to be a solid rock floor beneath their feet. Derek Hoyle was the last one in the line, as the group made their way through the narrow canyon passage. As Derek walked along the passage, he noticed something unusual about the floor ahead. There was a section where the surface appeared lower than the rest, like a bump or dip in a road, where the ground dropped slightly before rising again. The entire floor in this section looked somewhat fragile at first glance, with what appeared to be loose rock and debris, but it also seemed solid enough, the kind of surface that others walk on without incident. What Derek and the rest of the group didn't realize was that they were looking at a death trap. The floor in this section wasn't bedrock at all. It was a thin layer of debris and rock fragments that had collected over a vertical crevice, a crack in the cave floor that dropped straight down to the stream 35 feet, 10.6 meters below. As Derek stepped forward into the depressed area, putting his full weight on what he thought was solid ground, the inevitable happened. Without any warning whatsoever, no cracking sound, no shifting sensation, no indication that anything was wrong. The floor completely disappeared beneath his feet. The thin layer of rock and debris that had been spanning the vertical crevice gave way all at once, and Derek suddenly found himself falling into a pitch-black void. In that split second of absolute terror, as his body dropped through the collapsing floor, Derek's survival instincts kicked in, and he threw his arms out desperately, trying to catch himself on anything solid. But Derek didn't catch himself with his arms. Instead, his neck caught on the edges of the crevice opening as his body plummeted through the hole. The impact was immediate and brutal.
Dang.
Derek's neck slammed into the rocky edges of the crevice opening, and suddenly, his entire body weight, probably around 170 to 200 pounds, was being supported by his neck alone. A throb...
I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. How that looked painful right there. And then he just jolted, like you said, he jolted. Like, that shit sound weird, but how I said that bit, but jolted down that motherfucker. Like imagine you in this position right here. Like, what are you thinking? Like imagine you just in that position. Better than me. Don't be going in caves. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Don't be going in caves.
Big sensation went through his entire spine. Like literally, he felt it instantly. He was suspended in the vertical shaft by his neck, with his body hanging in the empty void below, and nothing but air between him and the stream 35 feet down. The pain was excruciating. The pressure on his neck was enormous, compressing his throat. Derek could feel his neck vertebrae being compressed under his body weight. And he knew instinctively that if this pressure continued for more than a few seconds, his neck could break and he would die. Dead. But the situation got even worse in the next instant.
I wouldn't even think about that.
The collapse of the floor had triggered a chain reaction. Rocks and debris from both sides of the crevice started falling inward, tumbling down into the vertical shaft where Derek was trapped. As the rocks fell, they wedged around Derek's neck, piling up against his trapped head and shoulders. He was being strangled and crushed simultaneously, suspended by his neck in a vertical shaft, with rocks raining down on him. And he had maybe seconds before his neck broke and he died. In a moment of desperate clarity, fueled by pure survival instinct, Derek threw his arms outward against the walls of the vertical crevice. The shaft was narrow enough that he could reach both walls, and he pressed his arms and hands against the rough rock surfaces with every ounce of strength he possessed. Using a technique that rock climbers call chimneying, bracing your body between two opposing walls, Derek managed to create enough outward pressure with his arms to support his body weight. By pushing hard against both walls of the narrow crevice, he was able to take the crushing pressure off his neck and transfer his weight to his arms instead.
The relief
on his neck was immediate, but the position Derek now found himself in was barely sustainable. But then suddenly, he could feel his neck slowly loosening up. The crevice walls, destabilized by his movements, started collapsing again. More debris.
Imagine if you're going through this like right now.
Rocks and fragments pouring into the shaft like a deadly waterfall. The weight and force of the falling debris pushed Derek downward, forcing him deeper into the vertical shaft. Derek kept slipping further down, with only his desperate arm pressure preventing a fatal 35-foot plunge. He frantically tried to reposition his legs, searching for any outcropping to push against with his feet or knees. But the walls were too smooth or covered in loose debris. His legs flailed uselessly in the darkness, unable to find anything solid.
That nigga just dropping.
Then a large piece of debris.
Literally, that nigga just dropping. Like, there's nothing he can do. He's just falling into the abyss.
Slammed into his shoulder. For a split second, he lost his grip. His arms slipped against the walls, and he dropped several more feet.
Hands probably cutting,
slam his arms
cut up and shit. Arms probably cut up.
Derek was now 15 feet, 4.5 meters, deep inside the vertical shaft, twice as far from rescue,
15
and
feet.
that much closer to the stream below. Derek knew he couldn't maintain this position indefinitely. His arms were already beginning to shake from the constant strain. And once his muscles gave out completely, he would fall. The question wasn't if he would fall, but when, and whether help would arrive before his strength failed. The other spelunkers, who had been walking ahead of Derek in the passage, heard the catastrophic collapse behind them. When they reached the location where Derek had been walking moments before, they found a gaping hole in the cave floor where solid ground should have been. They approached the edge carefully, testing each step to make sure the remaining floor was stable. When they shined their lights down into the crevice, they could see Derek feet below them, wedged in the narrow shaft with his arms pressed against the walls in a desperate chimney position. Derek looked up at his companions.
Hurry up and get nigga, hurry up and get some help, bro. I'm about to fall all the way. Like,
and pain etched on his face. His arms were visibly shaking from the strain of supporting his weight, and it was clear he couldn't hold this position much longer. The group immediately understood that they had minutes at most to execute the rescue before Derek's strength gave out, and he fell to his death. The group quickly began organizing their rescue operation. They retrieved rope from their equipment and started preparing to lower it down to Derek. The opening of the crevice was partially blocked by debris from the collapse, and they had to work carefully to maneuver the rope through the rubble and position it where Derek could reach it. When they finally got the rope down to where Derek could grab it, they told him to tie it around his torso. But Derek faced an impossible challenge. His arms were the only thing keeping him from falling 35 feet.
Yeah, like how I'm gonna do that?
If he released pressure with even one arm to work with
He's
the rope,
done for.
he risked losing his chimney position entirely and plummeting into the darkness. Derek's arms were shaking violently now, the muscles pushed far beyond their normal limits. Every second that passed brought him closer to complete muscle failure, but he knew he had no choice. He quickly released pressure from both arms and grabbed onto the rope, as it was now his only way out. His plummeted down a few inches, but was able to have a good grip on it.
Well, I would have been
Somehow,
scared
through a
still.
combination of desperation, determination, and sheer willpower, Derek managed to loop the rope around his torso and secure it with a basic knot. The entire process took several minutes that felt like hours.
Hey, you trying to go home? You gonna build that courage. You gonna build that determination, my boy. You gonna get out that goddamn hole if you wanna go home tonight. You know what I'm saying? Let it tell the story.
And by the time he finished, his arms were on the verge of complete failure. The others above called down to Derek, telling him to try climbing up the rope while they pulled from
How
above.
gonna try, man? Y'all already done.
Utterly exhausted.
Already done put it around my back. Already put it around.
Simply wouldn't.
I already done put it around my torso, dog. Come on, man. Like, come on, bruh. Y'all gotta pull me up, man. Y'all gotta help me, nigga. Help me. Like, you doing all that extra junk. Help me, taking me, telling me, bro, I am done for. Bro, I done held this position for however long I've been here. It seemed like days, nigga. Help me, nigga.
Respond. The pain in his legs from the pressure and lack of circulation was excruciating. He looked up at his companions and shook his head. He couldn't climb. They would have to pull him up. The group understood immediately. They positioned themselves around the crevice opening, bracing their feet and getting secure handholds.
They'll have to do something.
On a coordinated count, they began pulling Derek up through the narrow vertical shaft. It was brutal work. Derek was essentially dead weight at this point.
I got myself in this.
Assist in his own rescue. The others had to haul him up through an irregular shaft filled with loose debris, watching for falling rocks that could injure Derek or themselves. As Derek ascended through the shaft, his body scraped against the sharp rock walls, adding new cuts and abrasions to his existing injuries. The group could hear him groaning in pain as his body scraped against the walls, but they couldn't slow down.
I keep
After
going.
several minutes of intense effort, Derek's head appeared at the edge of the crevice.
I keep
the
going.
team redoubled their pulling, and with a final coordinated heave, Derek was hauled up and over the edge of the opening, landing on the solid cave floor beside the deadly hole that had nearly claimed his life. Against all odds,
Money, I would have been crying. Oh my God. Oh my God. Get me home. Get me home. I would have been crying like a motherfucker. Hey, man. Get me to the crib, man. Trying to go home. I don't know what I was doing in this goddamn cave, bruh. I don't want to go no more, bruh. I want to go to the crib. I don't know why I was even in there with y'all. Y'all some bad influences. Like, come on, man. I would have been going in. I ain't gonna lie. Cause like, that's crazy, bro. I didn't can't. First it was my neck. First off, it was my neck. My neck. I'm hanging by my neck. And then I'm able to get my arms right, you feel me? I slide down. Debris still falling on me. And I'm still hanging with my arms. Man, hell nah, bro. I'm trying to go home. I had to put that bit around my torso. Over here hoping and praying I don't really fall all the way. Hoping these dudes got my homies got the rope good enough. Something. Like, come on, man. That's not it. No caves for me. I went on one. and it was cool. It was a small one, but it wasn't like that. It was definitely not like that. It was already made, I guess, for like a tour or some shit. So that's why mine was straight. You know what I'm saying? I got some videos too, but yeah, that's why mine was straight. Went like this.
Derek had survived a situation that should have killed him. The group gave Derek time to recover while they secured the area around the collapsed floor section. Before exiting the cave, they marked the dangerous crevice with clear warnings to alert any future cave explorers who might use this passage about the deadly trap waiting beneath what appeared to be solid ground.
Solid ground.
On October 15th, 1994, 6 experienced spelunkers entered Turkey Cave in Virginia with permission to survey a system that had been closed for years. What they encountered deep inside would turn into them running away from death itself. Turkey Cave sits in Rockbridge County, Virginia, part of the extensive cave systems that run through the Appalachian region. By October 1994, the cave had been closed to explorers for several years, sealed off by authorities for reasons that weren't entirely clear to the caving community. But Benjamin Schwartz, John Murray, Bob Thren, Janice and Tony Preston, and Ted Andrus had managed to obtain special permission to enter and conduct a survey of the cave system. The group made their way through the entrance passages.
Look how small it is.
Dropped down quickly, and they had to crawl on their bellies.
It's called tight squeeze or something.
Which led directly to the big room, a
Can't do
large
that.
chamber that was a major landmark in the cave system. From the big room, the group entered a passageway that they knew led to a 15-foot, 4.5 meter drop down to the lower level of the cave. This passage would take them deeper into the system where they could conduct their survey work. The 6 cave explorers moved in formation, each one following the person ahead through the narrowing passage. Only a few feet into this passage, Janice Preston suddenly developed a breathing problem. She started gasping for air, her chest tightening as she struggled to get adequate oxygen.
See, I ain't doing none of that crawling and shit.
This was unusual and concerning, but the passage ahead had a tight constriction.
I'm not doing none of that.
And there wasn't much room to stop and assess the situation. Janice pushed herself through the tight constriction, probably thinking that once she got through the narrow section, she would feel better. She dropped down into a small room on the other side and finally managed to catch her breath. Her breathing stabilized, and she felt somewhat better in the confinement.
Bro, you gotta think about it. You gotta go there. You gotta go through there. And then you gotta go back through there. Like, bro, heck no, bro. I'm not doing that, bro. If I can't walk, I'm cool. I'm cool.
In chamber. The rest of the group assessed Janice's condition and tried to figure out what had caused her breathing difficulty. She had taken some medication earlier that morning, and the group collectively decided
would you do that?
Was probably the cause of her problem. It seemed like a reasonable explanation.
Why would you do that?
Medication can sometimes cause unexpected side effects, including breathing difficulties, especially when combined with physical exertion in caves. So, they decided to continue with the survey, convinced that Janice's breathing problem was just a minor issue related to her medication. But then, John Murray mentioned something that should have been a major warning sign. His carbide lamp was having trouble staying lit. Carbide lamps work by dripping water onto calcium carbide, which produces acetylene gas that burns with a bright flame. They're reliable light sources that have been used by cavers for decades, and they don't just randomly malfunction. Other members of the group started noticing the same problem with their lamps. The flames were flickering, dimming, and some of the lamps kept going out entirely and had to be relit repeatedly. Benjamin Schwartz
something wrong with them flames. I mean, them lit, them
drop to the lower level, but he was having trouble catching his breath. His chest felt tight, and he was breathing harder than he should have been for the level of exertion. As he stood there trying to steady his breathing, he noticed something alarming about the carbide lamps. The flames were burning with an unusual yellow, sooty appearance instead of the normal bright white flame.
What's that?
Some of the lamps wouldn't stay lit at all, no matter how many times people tried to relight them. And then it hit Schwartz like a freight train. They were in bad air. Bad air in caves is one of the most insidious and deadly hazards that cavers can encounter. It's invisible, odorless, and kills by slowly depleting the oxygen in your blood until you lose consciousness and die.
Damn.
Everyone in the group began experiencing
They in that bed in bad air.
What had started with Janice's isolated difficulty was now affecting all 6 of them simultaneously. Their chests were tightening, their breathing was becoming labored, and they were starting to feel dizzy and disoriented. Schwartz made the call that they needed to exit the cave immediately, but making that decision and actually executing it were 2 very different things. The group was deep in the cave system, they had to navigate back through tight passages and constrictions, and they were all experiencing symptoms of oxygen deprivation that were getting worse by the second. Ted Andrus was hit particularly hard by the bad air. His thinking became severely impaired as oxygen deprivation affected his brain function. The group was now in a terrifying situation. They were deep in a cave system.
So that's what Janice was saying. That's what she was saying.
Navigate through tight passages and constrictions. Physical and mental abilities were rapidly deteriorating. Andrus's condition continued to decline as they moved through the passages. His movements became slower and more uncoordinated. The others realized that Andrus was on the verge of losing consciousness completely. If he passed out in the narrow passages, getting him out would become nearly impossible. Their hearts were racing as their cardiovascular systems tried desperately to compensate for the lack of oxygen by pumping blood faster. Some members of the group were experiencing such severe fatigue that every step felt like climbing a mountain. As they struggled back toward the big room, Andrus's condition reached a critical point. The others knew that if Andrus lost consciousness in the bad air, he would die before they could get him out. The group made the difficult decision that they had to physically help Andrus move. They couldn't wait for him to recover or hope that he would make it on his own power. Bob Thren and Tony Preston positioned themselves on either side of Andrus.
How is you going to do that?
Essentially dragging him through the passages toward better air. Moving a nearly unconscious person through tight cave passages while you're also suffering from oxygen deprivation is an incredibly difficult task.
That's outrageous.
The other members of the group, Schwartz, Murray, and Janice, were barely managing to keep themselves moving. They were fighting their own battles with the bad air. Every minute felt like an hour as the group struggled toward the big room. They could feel themselves getting weaker, their vision starting to tunnel as their brains were deprived of adequate oxygen. The carbide lamps were still producing those ominous yellow sooty flames. Andrus was fading in and out of consciousness as Thren and Preston dragged him forward. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of desperate struggle, the group reached the big room. The air quality in the larger chamber was dramatically better.
Big room.
There was enough circulation and volume,
so they could feel a little
the
better.
Oxygen content was closer to normal levels. As they entered the big room, it was like breaking the surface of water after being held underwater too long. Everyone in the group started gulping in air, their lungs finally able to extract adequate oxygen. The relief was immediate and overwhelming. Andrus, who had been on the verge of losing consciousness completely, he slowly began to recover as his blood oxygen levels returned to normal. He was placed in a safe position where he could catch his breath and recover from his near-death experience with oxygen deprivation. The group sat in the big room for an extended period, allowing their bodies to fully recover from the ordeal. Before leaving the cave, the group made sure to leave a clear warning sign above the passage that had nearly killed them. They marked it as containing bad air and dangerous to enter, hoping to prevent other cavers from making the same mistake they had made. When they finally exited Turkey Cave and emerged into the fresh Virginia air, the entire group understood just how close they had come to becoming fatalities.
Dang, they was almost dead.
15-foot drop into the lower level before recognizing the bad air, they would have been trapped in an
passed
area
away
with even lower oxygen content, possibly too weak to climb back up, and they would have died down there. A follow-up expedition on October 21st used an air quality meter to measure the oxygen content in various parts of the cave. Normal air contains about 21% oxygen. The passage where these guys had turned back measured only 17% oxygen. Dangerously low, but still
it was dangerous, but it was
periods.
able to be.
Below 15% oxygen, the air becomes immediately life-threatening.
And then you out of
The
there.
meter showed that oxygen levels decreased rapidly as the passage descended deeper. Had the group continued down that 15-foot drop, they would have entered an area with potentially fatal oxygen levels, and they would not have had the strength or consciousness to climb back out.
Man, that's crazy. Yo, man, you know what I'm saying? On the verge. That's what that was. On the verge. But yeah, man. Like, comment, subscribe, you know what I'm saying? We on the road to 200, man. Trying to keep going. Trying to keep pushing. Keep pushing this content out, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to no caves like that at all. Not with no bad air. Y'all let me know if y'all finna be in the caves and jump, or if y'all been in caves. But I ain't gonna do it. But I'm out. 5,000. G.